Welcome back to another revision tutorial with Miss Sweet. Today we are exploring the devices used in the poem The Emigree by Rumens. Rumens uses a range of literary devices to illustrate her poem, convey abstract information, and engage her readers. The Emigree consists of 3 stanzas. On first glance, they might appear to be of equal length, but they aren't. The first 2 stanzas are octets, 8-line stanza, while the final stanza is actually 9 lines in length. The first stanza opens with a phrase that alludes to the cliched opening line of a fairy tale, once upon a time. This sets up the rest of the speaker's discussion about the relationship between her old city and her childhood memory, but also indicates that what follows is also a kind of tussle between reality and imagination. That is, like a fairy tale, the speaker's memory relies on a degree of fantasy. The second stanza focuses on language. The speaker gives more details about her situation without ever making it specific in terms of time or place. Rather, she discusses how leaving her childhood home has affected her experience of her native language. The third stanza concentrates on the way that keeping the city alive in the speaker's memory is in itself an act of rebellion. The Emigree does not have a strictly defined meter. The lines are approximately organized by having 5 stresses in each, but this is fairly irregular throughout. As such, the poem is best classified as free verse. Its rhythms flow and change as it progresses, reflecting its thoughtful, almost stream of consciousness tone. Most of the poem's effects are achieved through its imagery and sound, rather than its establishment or disruption of rhythm. Overall, the poem is fairly conversational in tone, though the content is itself quite fantastical, and the lack of strict rhythm helps create this sound. There are, however, a couple of notable moments relating to the placement of stresses. The Emigree is an unrhymed poem. Having regular rhymes would probably feel too neat and tidy for a poem with such a conversational, introspective tone. Instead, the poem relies on devices like assonance and consonants to lend the poem a sense of musicality. Break and paperweight could even be considered slant rhymes, but, again, there is no clear pattern to the poem's use of subtle rhyme. Alliteration is used sporadically throughout the Emigree. It is first used in line 1. There once was a country. I left it as a child. The W sound adds to the sing-song, fairy tale-like opening statement of the poem. Lines 2 and 3 then alliterate on the M, N, and S sounds. But my memory of it is sunlight clear. For it seems I never saw it in that November. This cluster of alliteration continues the poem's lyrical tone. The opening lines sound pretty and poetic, which makes sense, given that the speaker is describing her beloved home. The poem's frequent use of caesura creates moments for reflection, allowing the speaker to pause and consider the significance of the memories and emotions being expressed. The ellipsis here acts as a caesura, emphasizing the distance in time and the emotional weight of the memory. It suggests a pause for the speaker to collect their thoughts, highlighting the nostalgic and somewhat painful recollection of the past. Caesura also serves to underscore the contrast between the speaker's idyllic memories of their homeland and the harsh realities of the present. The pause created by the caesura after but highlights the tension between the reality of the present situation and the idealized vision of the past. This juxtaposition is central to the poem's exploration of how memory and reality often conflict. The poem presents the speaker's nostalgic recollections of a homeland from which they have been exiled. The city, a recurring metaphor throughout the poem, is depicted as a bright, filled paperweight, symbolizing an idealized and static image of a place preserved in memory despite the passage of time and political turmoil. This metaphor conveys the speaker's longing and the unchanging nature of their affection for the city, contrasting sharply with the presumably harsh reality. Additionally, the metaphor of sunlight is repeatedly used to represent hope, warmth, and a sense of belonging, even as the speaker grapples with feelings of displacement and loss. Through these metaphors, Rumens encapsulates the bittersweet nature of memory and the profound impact of exile on identity, illustrating how the emigree's perception of their homeland is shaped more by emotional attachment than by reality. The city, central to the speaker's reflections, is personified as a living entity, evoking a deep, almost personal connection. For instance, the city is described as the mildest city, shining eyes, and a shadow, attributes that imbue it with human-like qualities and emotions. This personification transforms the city into a character that embodies the speaker's idealized memories and emotional attachment. Moreover, the city is portrayed as a victim of political upheaval, with phrases like "time rolls its tanks" and "frontiers rise between us," suggesting that it suffers and endures conflict. By giving the city human characteristics, Rumens effectively conveys the intensity of the speaker's feelings of nostalgia and loss, as well as the sense of betrayal and sadness that accompanies exile. The personified city becomes a symbol of the speaker's inner world, reflecting their desire to preserve the purity and beauty of their homeland against the encroaching forces of time and change. One prominent simile occurs when the speaker describes their memories of the city as being like a hollow doll, which encapsulates the fragility and emptiness that underlies these idealized images. This comparison suggests that while the memories are cherished and seemingly beautiful, they are ultimately insubstantial and lacking in the tangible reality that the speaker longs for. Another significant simile is found in the line, "It lies down in front of me, docile as paper." Here, the city is compared to paper, highlighting its vulnerability and the way it can be easily manipulated or destroyed. This simile conveys a sense of helplessness and passivity, reflecting the speaker's realization that their memories, though precious, are powerless against the forces of time and political change. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe.